The number one reason you're not losing fat and how to fix it. The number one thing that is probably going on if you're not losing fat is you don't have a clear, specific goal, an exact target for where you're headed for your health and fitness. So we'll do a little goal setting exercise right now. And then if that's not it, I'll share with you 5 different ways on how you can find out what you're doing wrong and you can turn it around. So with your goal, first things first is consider dial it down to a specific body weight and body fat percent. So however you got to do it, just get that number figured out, right? Then that's your target, right? And then what we're going to do every day, I want you to consider doing this affirmation / prayer. It goes like this: I am happy and grateful now that I am. Plug in your body weight and plug in your body fat percent. All right, now that you have a target, I had a mentor one time that said, in any major area of life, there's really only about a half a dozen things or so that if you follow the principles within those areas, you'll be successful. And in fitness, it's only, I feel, 5 main categories that if you'll follow the principles within these areas, you'll be successful. Training or exercise, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, and mindset. Now, let's take a look at training. When it comes to building out a training program, consider having both strength training in your program and cardiovascular in your program. Right? Imagine for a moment you have a twin engine airplane and you're flying along, and one engine is cardiovascular and one engine is strength. You're going to want both engines going strong on that airplane, right? So it's the same with fitness. If you power up your cardio program and you power up your strength program, you're going to be wildly successful. That's a big thing right there. Most people aren't even doing. You're not even putting in the work. So consider dialing down a fitness program of your own. Now, speaking of being on a fitness program, one thing that I've done to help you and others get on an exercise program is I have an app, and you can download it for free. It's on whether you have Apple Connect or the Android and the Google Play. If you search for Workouts for All, workouts the number 4 ALL, then look for that logo right there. Download the app free, set up a free account. You have to put in your own username, password. Then you'll look at workout. There'll be a section for workout plans. And every week I'm adding new workout plans. It's all going to be, it's all is for complimentary or free. Now, how do you build out a good training program? I feel like there are basically 5 key areas, things to consider when building out a good training program: proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and consistency. Now, let's break them down. Let's break down the 5 good things to build out a good training program. First is proper form. Why would proper form be so important? 2 big reasons. 1 is so that you don't get hurt, and 2 is so that you exercise the muscle effectively. You're getting the most use out of your time. I'm sure you're probably a busy person. So when you're in the gym, you're getting the most efficient use of your time and the most quality use of your time when you're doing proper form. Then there's variety. When building out a training program, consider variety. Why would variety be important? Two big reasons to consider. One is you probably mentally get bored if you're doing the same things over and over again. But two, and what I feel is more important, you'll eventually reach a plateau. And do you know what a plateau is? That's where you're going along, going along, going along, and then you get stuck and you can't get past that next level. So adding variety into your routine, whether it be mixing up the routine altogether, higher reps, lower reps, faster tempo, slower tempo, there's a lot of things to mix up and add variety. So be sure to consider adding variety. Then there's intensity into a program. What comes to mind when you think about exercising with intensity with a program? Challenging yourself, pushing yourself, right? Imagine you're going for 12 repetitions. We get to 10, 11, 12. We barely get that 12th one, but we got that 12th one. What's the most beneficial part of that set? The first few reps or the last few reps? Be the last few, right? And why is that? Because that's where the overload occurs. That's where the breakdown occurs, the challenge part. So add intensity into your program. Next is proper training principles. There's all kind of training principles. Compound sets, drop sets, supersets, up and down the rack, 21s. There's lots and lots of training principles. I encourage you to go on Google or ChatGPT and look up training principles and include them into your workout. And by the way, we're going to be having plenty of them into the workouts on the app for free. And then there is consistency. What comes to mind when you think about training and the principle of consistency? What comes to mind? Well, imagine for a moment you have you and say a twin of you, and you're both going for the same goal. But you work out 4 days a week. You get good nutrition. You get your rest. The other person does not as consistent. Over time, who is going to have the best result? The consistent version of yourself. So be sure to be consistent. So in wrapping up how to develop a proper training program, be sure to include proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and consistency. Let's take a look at nutrition. Imagine for a moment that you want to build a beautiful 2-story house from scratch. And imagine that you only have half the materials necessary to build the house. How far are you going to get? Part of the way, halfway, right? So the foods that the same as the supplies building the house, the foods that you and I that we eat on a day-to-day basis are like the supplies that goes towards building our bodies. So what do I recommend? I recommend considering about 50% fruits and vegetables, 25% whole grains, and 25% plant-based proteins like legumes, lentils, nuts, and seeds. I feel that there are basically 4 different ways in which eating affects our bodies: our metabolism, our energy levels, our insulin levels, and our blood sugar levels. Now imagine for a moment that we have a fireplace. And on one hand, we have a stack of oak wood. And on the other hand, we have a stack of paper. And not including, kindling and getting the fire started. But if you had to choose between the oak wood or the paper to burn in your fireplace, which one would you pick and why? Well, most of us would pick the oak wood, and why? because it's going to burn longer, it's going to burn slower, more efficiently. Same as with fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes and lentils and nuts and seeds. They're very efficient. They burn like that oak wood. Let's look at recovery. So I encourage you to consider getting about 7.5 to 9 hours sleep a night, 2 hours of deep, 2 hours of REM. What are some ways to do that? Have consistent go to sleep, wake up times. It's like it's time to go to sleep, it's time to wake up. 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 10 to 6, however you do it. But just plug it in. Then also, too, another thing to help is to eat your last meal at least 2 hours before sleep time. What that'll do is allow your body to slow your heart rate down, because when you're eating food, your metabolism gets up. And when you're not, so when you go to sleep, if your body's not metabolizing food, you're going to have a lower resting heart rate. Mm-hmm. And then there's other things like, cutting off electronics and stuff like an hour or two before bedtime, stuff like that. Just get creative, have fun with it. But consider getting 7.5 to 9 hours sleep a night, 2 hours of REM, 2 hours of deep. Let's look at supplements. When it comes to supplements, there are basically two different categories of supplements: nutritional supplements and enhancement performance supplements. What's the difference? Nutritional supplements is like a protein shake, which I usually have at least 2 a day. And then enhancement performance supplements is like creatine. Prescription medications can fall in this category. But keep in mind of the fundamentals: a good exercise program, a good nutrition program, your good recovery program. Then we supplement. That's what makes the supplements work. You got to put the work down here too. First, you got to have that base: training, nutrition, recovery. So supplements. And last but not least is mindset. That's why we started this journey off today in this video, getting clear and specific on your goal. I encourage you to get clear and specific on the pounds and the body fat percent. Then once you have that down, let's wrap it up into an affirmation/prayer. I am happy and grateful now that I am, state your body weight and body fat percent. I am happy and grateful now. I'm happy and grateful now that I am, state your body weight and body fat percent. And then internalize that every day. What that does is you're putting your mental consciousness that I'm happy and grateful right now that I am, and you're stating what you are. So, but something that you're working on. But in your mind, you're saying, I am happy and grateful right now that I am. And, you're just putting it out there. So that's the mindset. And remember, your mind controls the body, not the other way around. We're going to tell it what to do on the exercise program. We're not going to let our body dictate what we do on our exercise, nutrition, recovery program. So keep that in mind. And just to summarize it, so it's training, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, mindset. Those are the 5 fundamentals. Now keep in mind, I understand sometimes it's not what we know, it's what we do. And no matter how much you know what you should do, for some reason, maybe you just can't get yourself to do it. And I understand what that is. Sometimes we need a little help in certain areas of our lives. You might be strong in another area, but fitness just hasn't been your thing. Well, let me connect with you on a 20-minute complimentary call or Zoom, phone or Zoom. I can find out about your situation. And I can share with you right in that moment how I can help you achieve your health and fitness. So consider reaching out to me. There's going to be a link in the description of the video. You can jump on. I have a Calendly link. You can just go ahead and sign up on the link. You can text me directly if you want, and I can text you back. We'll set up a time. Text me the word FIT, F-I-T, to 520-400-9573. That's 520-400-9573. Text me the word FIT. We'll set up a consult. Let's get you going. Keep in mind that health is wealth. What difference does it matter what earthly possessions we have if we don't have our health? Health is our striving for the best health that you can possibly strive for. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Do it for your country. Be as healthy and as fit as you can. Be the best you can. Be blessed, and I'll be back. See you next time.